Like we say in our Ramakrishna Mission terminology, once you go to Belur Math, first basa pakadao. Means first you get the accommodation, go to the Maharaj and ask for a room. Then you go to all the temples and all that. First you go to the room, put your bags and make sure that you have roti, kapda and makan. Kapda you have brought, roti and makan. Then you go to all the temples and everything. And meet sadhus, all this. So first things first. So he is very pragmatic, very practical, and he has got presence of mind. This is what we should learn from this.
He could have asked for another 3 booths in the first in multiplication.
Now he could have asked, but Yama should have given also. See, for asking you can always become the Prime Minister, at least in your dream. But so what he says, Nachiketa says, Shanta, Mrityo. He says, oh death, Gautama. Gautama is the name of Nachiketa's father. Earlier, we have been introduced to Nachiketa's father as Vajashravasa. He has been identified only by his father's name, not his own name. So now his name is given, Gautama. Gautama is the name of Nachiketa's father. So he says that Gautama, Shanta Sankalpaha, he should not be disturbed, he should not be worried, he should not have any anxiety. Sumanaha, and he should be cheerful, happily. He should Ma Abhi, and he should not be afraid. He should be fearless towards me. Vita Manyuhu, and he was angry. First of all, he was angry that I was pestering him. Second, he is angry that just because he has told something, I have followed that and come to you. He is angry on many things, for many things. So, Vita Manyuhu. So, he should have conquered or overcome his anger. Yatra Yatha Syat Pratitaha. And he should recognize me as I am. I am his son, he should recognize me Yatha Syat. Tvat Prasrishtam. And you are sending me back Ma Abhivadet. I am being sent back by you, and he should welcome me. Etat Trayanam Prathamam Varam Vrane. Of the 3 boons you have given me, this is the first boon I ask. That you please make that my father should not have any anxiety upon seeing me. That he should consider me as I am, his son. And he should accept me with a cheerful mind and cheerful face happily once I am sent back to you. So, one of the commentators says that he should not think that he is a ghost. So, he should not think that he is a ghost. He should not say that, oh, ghost has come, and he should not be afraid. So, that is what again Nachiketa says, that Ma Abhi, he should not be afraid of me. He should be fearless towards me. So, please give me this. And the second boon which Nachiketa will ask is, so this is what he has asked. Then death says, Yatha Purastad Bhavita Pratita. Audalaki Aruni Mat Prasishta. Sukham Ratri Shaita Vita Manyu Tvam Dadrishivan Mrityumukhat Pramuktam. So so what does he say? Aruni, the son of Aruna, or Audalaki, the adopted son of Uddalaka. So who is this Aruni and who is Uddalaka? Aruni refers to the father of Nachiketa or Vajashravasa. So we have many names of this person, Audalaki, Aruni, etc. And Audalaki means Uddalaka's adopted son. So that also refers to the same person. Now the question may be, how can a same person be called Aruni? Okay, it may be that this person belongs to the lineage of Aruna, and that is why it is called Aruni, one who belongs to the lineage of Aruna. But he is also called Uddalaka. Why? Because I told you the custom that a person who did not have brother, a female child, only child, when given in marriage, then the son of that woman could have titles of both her father and also her husband. So this was the rule. So that is how this Vajashravasa has got this Uddalaka title also and Aruna title also. That is how our commentator clarifies that. Now he says Aruni or Uddalaki Purastat Yatha mat prasrishtah hai tathaiva pratita. So when he will see, Pura means in front of, Purastat, before you or in front of you. So when he will see you before him, mat prashishtah, by my command or by my power, tathaiva pratita, he will recognize you as he was recognizing you earlier. He will recognize you as his son, Bhavita. And that will, like Tathastu Bhavita. Bhavita Saha means he will do that. He will recognize you. Purastat Yatha Tathaiva Pratita Bhavita. He will recognize you as you were earlier, as he used to recognize you earlier. Tvam Mrityu Mukhat Pramuktam Dadrishavan. Having seen Dadrishavan, having seen you, Mrityu Mukhat Pramuktam. Pramuktam means being liberated. Prakarshayana. This prefix pra is used in the sense of prakarshayana. Prakarshayana means in a very good way. Pramukha. Mukha, Pramukha means one who is the head or the face, but Pramukha who is the leader. So Prakarshayana, once he sees you, Pramuktam, released, properly released from Mrityu Mukhat, from the jaws of death, or from the mouth of death, he will Vitamanyuhu, free from anger, he will become free from anger, and Sukham Shahita, Ratrihi, in the nights he will get sleep, he will not think who I have invited into my house, this booth has come. So all this exorcist he will not have to go to, he will get sleep, and Shukam Shahita, he will be able to sleep peacefully without any sleeping tablet. That is the idea. So this I give you. You had asked for this boon, I give you this boon. Tathastu. This is the idea. Then again next. Now one boon is over. Second boon. Nachiketa does not waste any time. He says, Swarge loke na bhayam kinchana asti na tatra tvam na jaraya bibeti ubhe tirtva ashanaya apipase shokadiko modate swargaloke. Swargaloke. He says, I have heard or I have seen at least Swarge loke, in heaven, in the heaven world or in heaven, Swargaloke, kinchana bhayam na asti. There is no fear whatsoever. No bhayam is not there. Tatra tvam na asi, and you also are not there. Death also is not there. So you are also not there. Already this person was trembling, what will happen? One boon he has taken and now he is scolding him. You cannot also go to heaven. Na jaraya bibeti. And nobody is afraid of bibeti, afraid of jaraya, jara. Jara is old age. Who can tell me the Shad Vikara? Shad Vikara? Out of syllabus. How can you ask such a question? Jayate asti, vardate, viparanyamate, shiyate, nashyati. So, jara comes there. Shiyate, old age, jara. This is one thing which Buddha saw. Of 4 scenes. One is, what did he see? 4 scenes of Buddha? He saw a monk also. 4 scenes. He saw a deceased person, he saw old age person, he saw a dead body, he saw a monk who was very happily wandering. So these are the four things he saw, four scenes he saw. So Jara. So Jaraya, out of old age nobody is afraid there in heaven. Then Ube Tirtva, and both, they cross both. What they cross? Old age and death. Because you are also not there. Shokatiga, they go beyond sorrow. They don't have any sorrow. Swargaloke modate, and they rejoice in heaven. One person, very intelligent person, went to top floor. That is, he went to that place where they scan, no? Like you have, what is it called? Counseling. Before giving you stream, which stream you will take. So the counseling session was going on in headquarters, that is above. After death you go. Everybody has to go to the headquarters. Unless you are a Jivan Mukta. So that headquarters, they said, okay, come. So nowadays everybody believes in branding, marketing, publicity. So they showed advertisement. So one advertisement is, welcome to hell. And everybody is happy, party and eating and drinking and dancing like that. Another advertisement was, welcome to heaven. Everybody is sitting quiet and just moving around, not talking like that. So he was asked, where will you go? He said, hell, of course, because such a nice place. So then he went, and immediately what did he see? Huge cauldrons, and they are roasting. What did you take in the Bhuloka? Kentucky Fried Chicken. Here, we will make you chicken. Come. So roasting. So like that, going on roasting. And he said, what is this? You showed me this. And that said, no, that was the publicity. That was the ad. It was screensaver. Actual is this. So but Nachiketa is doing publicity. Swargaloke modate. They rejoice in Swargaloka. So please tell me how to get there. That is the idea. Nachiketa wants to know how to go to Swargaloka. This person is very intelligent. First, he wanted to go back to his father. Now he wants to know how to get Swarga. And third question is most dangerous question. He wants the, as we say, he wants the cake and eat it too, or pudding and eat it too. He wants everything. Best of all worlds. He will go enjoy, and then he will take this. He will also have jnana. So that thing he wants. So this is another, maybe an imagery to give us an idea of what? Dharma, artha, kama, moksha. So though it is not said anywhere, but some people believe that this is an imagery. Probably that is what is being told by the scripture, by the Upanishad. That yes, you can have this and this also. But that does not mean, as some people, dangerous people will tell, that you can enjoy and at the same time renounce. It is not possible. You cannot at the same time worship devil and we don't believe in devil, but you cannot at the same time be material and spiritual. Either you are spiritual or you are material. So even your enjoyment, material enjoyment, should have a spiritual turn. That is the idea. It should be based on righteous conduct. So now he says that this is what is there, that I have heard that even Yama, you are not there in heaven. So Sarvan, so please tell me how to reach there. So he says, Satvam Agnim Swargyam Adhyeshi Mrityo Prabruhi Tvam Shraddha Dhanaya Mahyam Swargaloka Amritatvam Bhajanta Etad Dvitiyena Vrane Varena. So this is my second boon. I am asking you the second boon. What is the second boon? Mrityo, oh death, Yama. Saha Tvam Swargyam Agnim Adhyeshi. You know the fire which Adhyeshi, you know the fire that Swargyam, that takes one to Swarga. You know the path, that is fire. Those days everything you have to do through fire. No email was there. So if you want to tell Varuna Bhagavan that please do rains, so you put it in fire and email immediately. Google of the old world. So fire. So you know the Agnim, which will take me to Swarga. Shraddha Dhanaya, and I am full of faith in you. And I am asking you, Mahyam, Prabruhi, please instruct me. Again, pra is used. You see, bruhi means tell. Pra means prakarshena, tell properly. Some people will tell. You ask the way to some place, they will say. Recently again it happened. We all know this story, jokes, but it happens also. So we were going to a place, Ganguli Bagan. So we were confused. We were going maybe the third time or second time. So we were confused. We stopped the car and asked somebody. Then he said, Soja Jan, okan take right turn in and go to left and something. There will be a tea stop. You ask him. You ask the tea shop fellow, he will tell. So I have to go 1 kilometer to the tea shop. He does not know the place. So like that, this person also can tell. You go there, you go here. So that is why he is saying prabruhi, prakarshena bruhi. You tell me properly. Because I have faith in you, I believe in you. You tell me properly, Swarga Loka, Amritatvam Bhajante. Those Swarga Loka, those who want to go to Swarga, means who perform sacrifices. Agnihotram juhuyat Swarga Kamaha. In the Vedas it is told that Agnihotra sacrifice should be done by people who desire to go to heaven. So people who desire to go to heaven, those people, Swarga Lokaha, means not different heavens, but here the aha has been used in the sense of people who want to go to Swarga Loka. Amritatvam bhajante, they attain the immortality. This is something new actually. Because in Gita we see, what do we see? Kshine punye martya lokam vishanti. So Swarga is something like you have some credit balance and you enjoy, and afterwards you purchase 10 pizzas from Domino's, they gave you some coupons and you use those coupons, you got some discount, and next time again you have to pay the money. Domino's people are very intelligent, I found out. They will give you some coupon, then they will say, if you purchase this much, then this coupon, and they will give you a last date also. So to use that coupon, you will purchase more. See, so much cunning. So this, like that. Now coupons are over, so you have to again shell 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees for maybe 2 pizzas. And also give afterwards money to doctor for cholesterol, triglyceride, etc. So this is what happens. That is what we know. But interestingly, in Upanishad, Nachiketa says, Swarga kamo amritatvam bhajante. They bhajante, here it is used in the sense of attaining. Bhajante usually, bhaj word is used in the sense of worship or praising, stuti. Here it is used in the sense of attaining. So he says that people who go to Swarga Loka attain immortality. So probably here he is referring to Krama Mukti. So you go to Swarga Loka, from there you go to Brahma Loka, you become Brahma, you become Hiranyagarbha, and then finally you become merged with Brahman. That is the only explanation I could get. Otherwise, if it is just exhaustion of your karma, then if he goes back, he has to go back to Martya Loka, because Gita says. But again, Swamiji says, where there is a conflict between Shruti and Smriti, follow the Shruti. Where there is a conflict between Vedas and Puranas, Mahabharata contains Gita, so it is a Smriti, follow the Shruti. So, okay, Swarga, people who go to Swarga get immortal. So, etad dvitiyena varena vrine. This is what I choose, vrine, choose by the second boon. Nachiketa is asking. So, Yama also is very happy. He is giving prate bravimi tadu me niboda swargyam agnim nachiketa prajanan anantaloka apti matho pratishtam vidhi tvametam nihitam guhayam. You see he says Nachiketa, aham, you have to introduce, I, swargyam agnim prajanan. I know this Agni, this fire, which will lead you to in this, it is written, Swargam Agnim Prajanan, the fire which will lead you to Swarga. Prabravimi, and I will tell you that. Tat, U. I will definitely tell you. U is used in the sense of definitely, Zarur. Definitely I will, indeed I will tell you. May, and you will learn from me. Nibodha. Bodha, Nikrisht, Nishchita Rupena Nibodha. You will learn from me. Nachiketa etam ananta loka aptim. Nachiketa. Again here Yama is also telling that it is ananta loka. It is a loka which is immortal. So we have to, in this context, think that Swarga is an immortal world. So Ananta, a means to attainment of this eternal heaven. I will tell you, this is not an ordinary heaven, but an heaven which is eternal, Shashwata. I will tell you the means to attain this heaven. Definitely. Artho Pratishtan Guhayam Nihitam Vidhi. And Pratishtham. This heaven is the support of the world, and this heaven is established in the minds of the intellects of the enlightened ones. You see, here there is an imagery. Imagery is about the heaven and also about fire. Yama says that this is a fire which is the means to immortality. It is a fire which is the support of the world, the substratum, basis of the world. The fire which all intelligent people or realized souls know about. What is this fire? The entire nature can be divided into three elements: fire, air, and earth. Water is also there, but somehow in this case they say, now this fire is very crucial. Why? Fire from water, again it becomes vapor. What makes it turn into vapor? Fire, means heat. Heat is very crucial to the sustenance of this world or this universe. Not only human beings, the whole universe. If you go to the stellar universe or the cosmic universe, everywhere you may not have water, but you will have heat. And heat again creates in some way, gas. So again the air is created by heat. So here they want to tell, the scripture wants to tell that heat is the basis of the entire creation. And the secret of creation can be understood by understanding the secret of fire. So this supports the universe, and people who are intelligent understand this heat. So all of you who are working with thermodynamics, you see there is a Upanishadic sanction for your research that thermal power or heat is the basis of entire creation. That is what this mantra says, and that is why Yama says that yes, I will teach you, I will give you this vara also. I will tell you how to go to Swarga, in this case eternal Swarga, through using this fire. Now here I am just telling you, this is the mantra we will see today and finish for now. Lokadim agnim tamuvacha tasmai ya ishtaka yavati va yatha va sachapi tat pratyevat adya yathoktam athasya mrityuhu punareva ahatushtaha. He says, Yamaha says, Tasmad Lokadim. I am going to tell you, Yama, this is told, the Upanishad is telling, Tasmat, Yama told Nachiketa, Tasmat to Nachiketa, Yama told, Lokadim, Tat Agnim Uvacha. He told the source of the worlds, source of the universe, the basis of the universe. What was that? That Agni, that fire. Fire here used in the sense of fire which is used for Vedic sacrifice. That he gave. Uvacha Yava. He told about that fire, and Yaha Ishtakaha. While making a Vedic sacrifice, you have to create a sacrificial altar, a place where that sacrifice will be conducted. That is called the Yajna Pitha, where that sacrifice will be conducted. So, in the Vedas, particularly in the Atharva Veda, calculations are given about the measurement of this Yajna Kunda. And there is a huge Kalpa Sutra or Sulba Sutras, which are aphorisms or formulas to calculate the structure of these, and that is where we find ancient Vedic geometry in Sulba Sutras. So you have they have all this trigonometry, everything there, and they will calculate, elaborate formulae to calculate how this particular thing should be constructed for a particular sacrifice. Kathopanishad does not give us the details, but it says that Yama told all these details to Nachiketa. How to conduct, how many bricks will be there? Yaha Ishtakaha, what kind of bricks will be there, which has to be collected? Yavati va, how many bricks should be there? Yathava, and how they should be arranged. These all things he told. And Saha Chaha Apit Yathoktam. And not only he told, Nachiketa also, whatever he heard, Yatha Uktam, as told, Pratyavadan, he repeated it. So whenever we are telling something to somebody, we say, repeat it, have you understood it properly? I will order something and you will give me something else. So please repeat. So Nachiketa himself repeated it to show that he has understood properly. How many bricks will be used, what kind of bricks will be used, how it will be arranged, all that he explained. Then Mrityao Asya Tushtaha. So also, not only that he explained, Lord of Death Yama also was pleased by that explanation. He understood that he has understood everything. And Punaha, he was nicely pleased. Now there are so many things regarding a sacrifice. In India, even now in Maharashtra, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, some parts of eastern India, and northern India, Vedic sacrifices are done, like Putra Kameshti Yaga. Then there is a sacrifice done for bringing rain. It seems they are all useful. So there are so many yajnas which are done. Agnihotra Homa is done by many people in India till today. But there are also havans done. And you have purohits coming and, okay, what is the problem? आप एक हवन कर दीजिए ना, आपका सब सही हो जाएगा, बस 20,000 rupees bill. So those kinds of havans are done with this kind of material. They have this ready-made brass, copper, something, and they will just bring it and put it there and put something and tell some nama, 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 and so like that. Ashtotara Shatanama means 108 names. Now if you go to any typical temple in Tamil Nadu, the priest will come. In 2 seconds he will finish this, and then, okay, this is prasada. I don't know how he finishes 108 names, but he is more interested in the prasada and the dakshina which will come on that plate. So this is something. But how were the original real yajnas done? Or if you go to some of our ashramas, you will find that some kind of bigger altar like this is made. Whenever there is a special puja, you will see havan is there. And this is not our ashrama, it's a typical temple, but that is that is also ready made. You will just take the stand and put it, and sand will be there. But how Vedic sacrifice is conducted is this. You see, there is a pattern of how the bricks are arranged. How many bricks will be arranged? How many levels the bricks will be in? All these patterns. This is a typical Vedic sacrifice going on. And the thing which he has worn is not Yagnopavita. This is what one should wear. Even for that there are different kinds of calculations for a particular sacrifice, how it should be worn. Then there are rice balls which should be prepared. And these rice balls are called Purodasha. And how these rice balls should be prepared? How many hours this rice should be soaked in water? what kind of rice or what kind of grain it should be. All these things are given in the Vedas. Okay, and then you have different what we call spoons, or in Bengali hata, ladles they are called, for Vedic sacrifice. You cannot simply put any kind of spoon and put the ghee. There are specific ladles for specific sacrifices. The size is also given, and then first you will have to purify that ladle, and you will purify it by keeping it in front of the fire. Heat it and purify, and there are various mantras to be chanted while purifying it, and then you put like this. Similar many ladles are available, ladles, and you Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmaiva Tena. So Havihi is ghee, Agni is also Brahman, and the Ahuti, the offering, is also Brahman, like that. So these are the types of ladles which are used. Now these are metallic ladles. Sometimes you have to use wooden ladles. Then again there is a specification from which tree that wood should be taken. And you cannot simply take that, cut the wood from the tree like that. You have to utter a mantra. In fact, that mantra says, it tells the tree to part with that particular branch. It is asking permission. Talk of environmental ethics. It is asking permission from the tree to part with that branch. And then you should utter that mantra, pray, and then cut with an axe. There is an elaborate tradition of how Puri Jagannatha temple, Navakalevara, how that new statue is created. And there is a real live and vibrant tradition, how somebody will get a vision in dream, they go to a particular tree and that particular tree will be there, and they will keep it and then cut, etc. So similarly in Vedic period also it was there. This is how a sacrifice looks like, one of the sacrifices. There are various materials. You see, there is a long spoon which runs into two sacrificial altars. So these things are there. This I just want to give for your general information. So now Nachiketa has asked for the sacrifice, and Yama also has taught him, and we don't know the name of the sacrifice. I tried to find, but we don't know. And also he has repeated it, and they are very happy. Now he will ask the third boon, and that is from where the Kathopanishad proper starts. So for today we will stop here.
Swamiji, I have got two queries.
Please ask as many queries as possible.
The one is that, as you said, that Brahmananda and Suryananda ji, they had gone for a separate tapasya to realize. So it had happened with all the disciples of Ramakrishna, that is, Swamiji also had to do some same kind of tapasya after the death of Ramakrishna and other disciples.
This incident happened in the life of Swami Brahmananda, this statement, but almost all disciples, not almost all disciples have performed austerities after the passing away of Sri Ramakrishna. That is recorded. All disciples, without exception.
Ultimately achieved self-realization.
No, they have, all the disciples had attained the realization while Sri Ramakrishna was alive itself. But they did austerities after his passing away. All of them got their ultimate realization, like Swami Vivekananda got Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Everyone got when Sri Ramakrishna was alive. In fact, for some people, the very first encounter itself they got. But they did practice austerities.
The second one is
Why Swami Vivekananda was thinking about taking Diksha from Pawari Baba after death of Ramakrishna?
He was inspired. Acha, it was not at the time.
Ramakrishna came in his dreams and he didn't take.
No, but then Ramakrishna was, Pawari Baba, Ramakrishna was alive.
No. When Ramakrishna was alive, there was no question of taking Diksha.
no, he went to, when he made
After the death of Ramakrishna,
when he
thought-
made the Pawari Baba,
First time when Swami Vivekananda met Pawari Baba, he went to Ghazipur, Ramakrishna was alive. take Diksha.
But at that time, in the glass of water,
Ramakrishna was very much alive, and he was inspired, and then he came back, and then there was a statement also by Sri Ramakrishna that you come back. It's all there.
my second query was this.
And why he wanted to take, no, you can refer the biography of Sri Ramakrishna, but why he wanted to take is because Swami Vivekananda was enchanted by the austere yogic life of Pavari Baba.
The second query is that, when the sannyasi is taken, so they perform sadh themselves. So is it because that after that there will be nobody else to perform their sadh, so they may turn into...
No. After Vedic, no, they perform their own Shraddha, correct, but they also perform the Shraddha of their parents who are still living, maybe living, like I perform the Shraddha of my parents who are still living. So that we do because after you take sannyasa, you lose the right to do any Vedic rituals, and because you have to do these rituals, you have to give Pindadana to your parents. So we do that before sannyasa. This is a universal sannyasa rule. And also I do my Shraddha because, as you said, I don't have any progeny. So nobody will give me Pinda. So I give my own Pinda. Anticipatory bail.
If you not Pinda is not given, then they will take a different kind of like Prasad. It's not
You see, sannyasa is a sankalpa, and these are rituals. Though they have significance, but they have rituals. When Shankaracharya left his home, no, Shankaracharya was a great prophet, all right, but still when he left his home, we don't know whether he actually did. He might have taken it, that's a different thing. But many people have taken to sannyasa without having to go through all these rituals. There are different kinds of sannyasa. There we say Vidvat sannyasa, a person who realizes Brahman and takes sannyasa. The kind of sannyasa which we take, or I don't know about the other people, but at least I took, is Vividisha sannyasa. I want to know Brahman, so I took sannyasa. So even there, once I get the vairagya, the aspiration, I can take sannyasa. That sankalpa, the strong resolve, not desire, resolve to renounce is what counts, not the rituals. But these also are important.
Swamiji, if someone has realized the Brahman, then why he needs to take sannyas?
This is a very debated question. Actually, he does not need to take sannyasa. He takes sannyasa because he is no more interested in this world. He is no more interested in this world. Vividisha sannyasa, Vidvat sannyasa, because he understands the transient nature of this world, so he is not bothered. He wants to stay himself. Brahmastha is the word used in Shankara's commentary in the Brahma Sutra. So he says that he is established in Brahman and he wants to stay like that. If he stays in the world, then he will have to see or at least be part of the worldly activities, which he does not want to. Brahma Samstha, he wants to be established, always thinking constantly of Brahman. And that is why he just leaves and goes away. No question?
You categorize the kind of disciples who does what voluntarily without being asked. But suppose he does voluntarily but does faulty works. Always does faulty works.
No, when I said voluntarily, it means that he does what the Guru wants voluntarily. Means he has tuned himself to such an extent that just when the Guru thinks he understands. There is not much difference technically, but this as a tradition or convention, yajna we use for sacrifices which are given in the Vedas, and homa we use for sacrifices which are given in other texts, smritis. But there is no hard and fast rule. You can also say Vedic homa. The meaning is same. Homa, havana, yajna all mean same thing. That he had promised. He had also promised that I will come back. When he left his mother, he promised that I will come back, and he came back. So what is your question? No. You see, Shankaracharya was a prophet himself, and he himself created new 10 schools of Darshanam Sampradaya. So this is one place where he showed that sannyasi does not mean a person without heart, a person without feeling for his own Garbhadarini. So that is why Shankaracharya came back, and he did not want to perform the last rites of his mother. If you go through the biography by Madhva Vidyaranya, Shankara Digvijaya, which is the authentic biography available, of course it was written about 400 years after Shankaracharya's passing away. There it is said that Shankaracharya first approached the Brahmins of that place to perform the last rites of his mother, and nobody came forward to perform the last rites. When he had no other option, then he performed. It is not that Shankaracharya directly went and performed. He saw that there is nobody who wants to do proper cremation of his mother's body. So he said, no, then I will have to do. And Shankaracharya cursed Kerala, that place. He cursed that since you have done like this, you people are cursed like that. That is what that account says. So he tried. He did not at the beginning itself do that. He wanted to follow the social. You will never see Shankaracharya violating social norms. Whatever social norms are there, he just followed.
Swamiji, that by performing Homa and Yajna, that many kinds of desires may be fulfilled. But is it also not true that by doing Japa and Dhyana also certain...
Oh, another thing is, yes.
That the desires cannot be fulfilled.
You see, any kind of austerity, any kind of meditation, any kind of concentration can be done for anything. So, what is necessary is what is your ideal. The ideal fixing part, choosing your ideal, is very important. So, you can meditate on a very small thing like say like pizza or something, and we have tremendous mental power to attain that. This actually Swamiji also tells in various ways, but if you can try it, you can actually try it. You sit in one place and just think, I want this small thing maybe, and you will get it. And depending on the thing, maybe you have to put more concentration and less concentration. Pizza maybe for 2 hours you may get, but other things you may have to think for more days. This is true, and this is what all these positive thinkers, starting from Norman Vincent Peale to other people, so many people have been there. Dale Carnegie, all this, M.R. Cockmayer, so many people. All these people preach this. What they have understood is that you have mental power, and the happening thing today is mentalist. So many of us are not mentalists; we are only mental. So mentalists, so they can bend a spoon, they can do this, they can do that. So yes, there is a lot of power in our mind, but the point is not that. The point is, where do you channelize this power? You see, having told that quote, Nitin Gadkari has been in a very sorry situation. The poor fellow, see, what he said was that, but the person he quoted, you should have told Hitler, then there would have been no problem. He said that Dawood Ibrahim and Swami Vivekananda may have the same IQ. The whole thing went problematic. But his content is that you may have the same IQ, but the point to which you put it into use, that is very important. And another thing which I did not say, but earlier once I have told here, there are 5 types of yajna, sacrifice, which continuously we can do. And what is that? First is Daiva yajna, that is you pray to gods. You offer your worship to gods. Then there is Pitri Yajna. You offer worship to all your ancestors, departed souls. Then there is Nriyajna. Nriyajna means you offer your worship to, or you sacrifice, you do give away in charity to other human beings, other fellow beings. It's Nri Yajna. Then there is Ri Yajna, that is you give Bhuta Yajna, Bhuta Yajna, that is you give away in charity to animals. Many people you would have seen, they will go on feeding pigeons and everything. So many important Bollywood films start like that, a pigeon, India Gate and pigeon. So many pigeons will fly, and so this is one. And Atma Yajna, another Yajna is you try to cultivate yourself. This is, so 5 types of Yajnas are there. Then there is a sacrifice which is going on continuously in this world, the great sacrifice. What we take from the universe. What do we take? We take knowledge and food. Knowledge can be secular and spiritual, and we take that from the universe. And food also we take for sustaining ourselves. So we have to give back to the universe also in terms of effort, parishrama, shrama. You have to do some work and also give some knowledge. If you don't give it voluntarily, involuntarily you will have to give. How? Suppose, for example, now we live a sedentary lifestyle. Most of us have no working. So they say do exercise because you have taken some effort from the universe. You have to give it back. Either give it in the treadmill or you will be asked to take a TMT. Anyway, you will have to do that. Or you will have to suffer and you will have to take so many pills and make everybody suffer. Similarly, you have taken so much of wisdom from the school onwards, so many people have taught you. Now you voluntarily give it, or you may be probably, I'm just making it funnily, probably you will be kidnapped and they will say, give me the scientific secret or something. So you will have to, either you give it voluntarily or you will have to, or if you suppose somebody is married, then your kid will start pestering, do my homework. So you have not given, so you have to give back the knowledge. This yajna is going on. Any other question? No questions. No questions? Yes. Huh. For that particular person. Savitri written by Aurobindo. Savitri written by Aurobindo. That particular poem, it's a very, as you say, magnum opus, masterpiece of Aurobindo. And you see, I told that for that woman because she had taken initiation for many years and she cannot sit even for 5 seconds in one place. She has no concentration. I didn't know these things. This is pure psychology. I could understand by seeing her. Because and she could not sit. All these things I came to know afterwards. The other devotee told that yes, she says that she cannot do japa. So without doing japa, just you have some intellectual gymnasium, it's not going to help you. That is why I said don't read. It is waste of time. No, same. The same episode has been written by Aurobindo. Very good poem, but very difficult to understand, very esoteric poem. No, what I am telling is maybe she has understood it, but she has stopped there. Maybe she is an expert in that, maybe she is a great exponent of Aurobindo, I have no problem there, but she has stopped there. Aurobindo was a great sadhaka also. He was a great spiritual practitioner. So that part we have forgot. If, for example, even Swami Vivekananda, if somebody is going on reading complete verse and not doing any spiritual practice, I will say reading Vivekananda is the waste of time for that person.
You will become a pandit.
And it doesn't make any sense. For that person, reading Vivekananda is a waste of time. Definitely it is. Because you are just stagnant. Sthita prajna does not mean becoming stagnant. See, Swami Adbhutananda, Miracle of Sri Ramakrishna, as Swami Vivekananda says, he did not read so many books. But when once in the Belur Mutt, there was Pandit who was teaching the Upanishads, and there is a imagery, like from munja grass you separate, you know the Upanishad. So like that you have to separate the real from the unreal. Immediately he said, Pandit theek bolche, means the Pandit is telling correct. How did he understand? This from his realization he understood. So that is important, not simply reading. And for all this realization we don't need so many things. We need this because we forget. Aham brahmasmi tattvamasi prajnanam brahma. One word is sufficient. We don't remember, we constantly forget, so you have to read it in so many words, so many stories. Katha Upanishad, Nachiketa goes to Yama, Yama tells, and all this blah 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 blah. Again and again this is the propaganda of the scriptures. You see, Hitler, Lenin, they were great propagandists. These were the people who invented advertisement. I went to a workshop of documentary some time back, say 5-6 years back in Delhi, and they showed a film which was used by Hitler. Thousands of files, columns of soldiers were marching and jet fighters were going, and this was shown to every German citizen to make them join. But you know what? That movie was made using one jet fighter and only one column of soldiers. There were no soldiers at all. And using film editing, those days they just used mirrors and cut that film and made it appear as though it was huge. So this is what we call propaganda films. People do that. So scripture also is doing propaganda of Brahman.
Ashwamedh Yagya is not a proper advertisement kind of advertisement.
I don't know. Of what?
Kind of advertisement of my power.
That is a proclamation of your power. Any question?
How effective those Yajna in recent times? Like if one perform those Yajna with full dedication, does it get the same effect or is it?
That's why I gave you the example of this yajna of knowledge and food, because most of the times we cannot take, or sometimes we cannot take the words of the scripture